Hi class, this is Joe Camerata. For the very last video, I just wanted to bring you down here to the Mississippi River. My son's fishing down here. This is kind of where it all started and kind of where it all ends. Our class has been really interesting. It's been very unique. I've never had experiences like this before. Seeing St. Louis in different parts in different ways. Seeing some things that I've seen 100 times before, but seeing them in a different light. I can see how people get really excited about St. Louis and why they want to live here. It's an exciting place. It's an interesting place. It's a place of growth. Yeah, we've had some decline recently in the 70s and 80s, but things are getting better and things are rebuilding. I just wanted to bring you down here to the river and talk just a little bit about the 5 books that we saw and read. The World, the Flesh, the Devil, The History of the Colonial St. Louis by Patricia Cleary. This book started in France. It brought us to New Orleans, around the Gulf of Mexico, up to New Orleans, up the Mississippi River, and it spoke about Pierre Laclede and Marie Chateau and their children and their struggle to find a place, a location, a home, someplace to start a living. It was a very unique book, really interesting to read. I didn't know a lot of the things about the fire and about the interesting things that occurred and how the bank was picked for the Mississippi River, that it was a limestone base and that he wanted an elevation and that was that difficult to find. I really didn't understand that about St. Louis. The second book that we read was Lewis and Clark in Missouri. I found this one really interesting, especially about what they ate on their journey and how they chose who they were going to bring with them, what supplies they brought, and the logistical problems that they had trying to get up the river. Boy, times were tough back then, and I would not want to try to do that even today. But the fact that they had to eat rotten meat at times, that they had to kill a few of their own horses and eat their own horses, that was quite an eye-opener for me. I was really surprised. The third book is The Great Heart of the Republic, St. Louis and the Cultural Civil War. And this was more about the fire in St. Louis, and it was about the Civil War, and then more about Industrial Revolution and how they were rebuilding after the Civil War. Again, very interesting. Lots of different things were talked about, lots of different locations, a lot of different specific locations in St. Louis. A few of the buildings still exist, but most have been knocked down. And then, of course, they spoke about things like, Forest Park was created to be the center park, and it was an example that they used to create Forest Park was the Central Park in New York. They wanted a gathering place for people in the city and people in the county to join, because at the time they drew a county-city line and they separated and segregated. So they wanted a place where everyone could kind of relax and enjoy. The fourth book was Who's Fair, which we just reviewed a bit. And that was The Experience, Memory, and History of the Great St. Louis Exposition. And that was by James Burkhart Gilbert. And that, scanning that, was showed me what they were talking about with the World's Fair. And Gilbert kind of explained that in the World's Fair, it wasn't about the expositions so much as it was about, well, a lot of the people kind of took it and went there to kind of see the extraordinary things, the extra things, the sideshows, more so, the freaks, the people that ate their dogs, the bearded lady, the street singers that had different appendages, all kinds of different kinds of odysseys. And that's what a lot of people went there for, to see those kinds of things. But I think that a lot of people also went there to see the electricity and the new experiments, the new science, and the growth and the amazement of all the building. And the very last book that we read was The Gateway Arch, which is a bibliography by Tracy Campbell. And that explained how the arch location was chosen, how the materials were purchased, how the contracts were taken care of, who built it, how they built it. Very, very interesting. The fact that racism played a part in all of that, in the workers and such. Very interesting book. And through all of this, I learned a lot about slavery. I learned a lot about racism. I learned a lot about St. Louis and how people look at St. Louisans, and about why people in St. Louis are so attached to this area, to this region, and specifically to the Mississippi River, and how it was such a huge part of what was St. Louis and how St. Louis got built. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all my videos. Thank you very much for listening, and I really enjoyed this class. Thank you all for being here.